Hello and welcome to another episode of JSnake Repair. In this video we'll be completely tearing down an HP 4540S in its stock configuration, which could be one of many depending on where and what you decided upon. We're going to be upgrading all of that to its maximum specifications. And the only thing we will not actually be upgrading in this video that has the potential to be upgraded is the discrete graphics unit. Some of the units came with an AMD card. I believe it was a 7000, 6000 series with up to 2 gigabytes of RAM, so VRAM, and so that's pretty impressive. This one does not have it, so unless you're very familiar with BGA and hot air guns, I would suggest you buy it with it already on the board. So I just turned it on here just so you can see it does turn on. This machine is by default equipped with Windows 8 Pro. Of course, that was not a very smart or loved operating system. So they did have the option to actually downgrade to Windows 7 Pro at launch. But nevertheless, that's what the sticker on the back is for. So that's what we can install. But we will actually be installing Windows 10 Pro. A little trick we'll be going over later in the video. And so we're just going to shut this down. I just want to show it is working in its current state. It boots to the BIOS screen. I don't know why HP wants to go to the diagnostic screen by default, but that's what it does. Same thing. So you just go ahead and flip it over on the back. You've probably taken out the battery before, maybe just trying to force shut it down. Take it off and set it aside. Next, you might have a retainer screw, security screw right down in there. And if you have it still in there, go ahead and take it out. But then hit the latches again, same ones for the battery, and open up the back panel. Set that aside. Haven't even decided where I'm going to be putting this crap. My apologies. And this is the beauty of these older laptops. This was designed for companies to buy these en masse for their employees. And everything you see here, you can see, and you can easily access, upgrade, diagnose, repair, fix, all of the works, So hard drive, Wi-Fi card, RAM, empty RAM module here, disk drive, battery cavity, of course, and this section here houses the CPU, as well as right here, you'll see later, if there was a GPU card, it would be sitting right here, and the fan and heatsink assembly. Something kind of odd, I don't know what models actually have this installed, but you can see there is the layout here for a Wi-Fi, or not a Wi-Fi, a WAN card, 3G data on the go. And this one is obviously not attached or built on there. So I'm kind of curious. I thought HP 4540S was a rather high-end business laptop. I wonder what models actually that use this board have it. But nevertheless, I love to talk, and we haven't even done anything yet. So let's get going. As I said, we will be tearing down this complete laptop, so we'll just start at the very beginning. Go ahead and pop out whatever RAM is in there. This is just 4 gigabytes of 1333 megahertz RAM. You can install up to 1600 megahertz, and I believe it will actually read it as that. So I don't know why they would put slower in. But the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop out the Wi-Fi card. There's no method to this madness, whatever you want to do. And I believe they do make note of which pins or which antenna cables go to which. So they'll be labeled 1 and 2. And on the actual card, it doesn't look like they are labeled. So that'll be fun when we replace it. Then again, it'll be a different card, so why do I even care? I am using an iFixit toolkit, you can probably see. No, they're not paying me or anything, but it is an absolutely beautiful kit, and it's never failed me once, and always had what I needed. So this is a little junk Wi-Fi card we're not going to need anymore. I believe it also has a Bluetooth inside there, but don't need it. And if you don't already, get yourself a magnetic project mat. Toss all your screws on here, label it if you need to as well. each little individual grid. Next, we'll go ahead and we'll pop this disk drive out, the optical drive. And then just get your finger in there and pop it out. Cha-cha. Yeah, so I suppose you could go further and load this thing a second step. This is, you know, a SATA-based drive bay. I believe this is 12.7, not 9.7, and those numbers might be a little different, but there's only two types of portable drives in terms of their size, and you could throw another solid state in here, or a mass hard drive, or a mass solid state drive. They're getting really dang cheap, or a Blu-ray drive. I do have one I could throw in, but I'm not going to, because this is for a client and they don't want that. Most people, I suppose, just stream at this point anyway. Next, we're going to be taking out the hard drive. There's just 4 screws here to get the caddy out. Now, you're going to see, if you haven't opened this guy up before, you just set those 4 screws aside. But there's a little flap. You can reveal it and then just pull, you know, horizontal, parallel to the case, and it'll come out. This is the coziest little drive caddy I've ever seen. It covers the entire drive except for the, you know, exposed pins, of course. So there's going to be 4 screws actually securing it to the caddy, the hard drive. So go ahead and remove those. And then you just pull this flap forward, pull it around, and there's your drive. This one's a Toshiba. Looks like 750 gigabytes, 5400 RPM. Nothing special to be seen here. Okay, cool. So go ahead and set both those parts aside. Next, we're going to break into this CPU compartment. So there's going to be 1 screw here, 1 screw there, and this is also a keyboard retaining screw. And yeah, no. Most of the screws are, I think there's only 3 different sizes of screws here, which is really nice. And once you get those 3 screws out, you're just going to slide the whole thing that way. Follow the arrows. It says open right here. And pop it up. And then the little clips are over here, so you're going to, you know, like that. Yeah, sorry if that wasn't a very good explanation, but you got it. It's not that hard. In here, we have the CPU, which is not socketed. Amen. And take me back, please. As well as the fan. We'll take the fan out really quick here. So here's the fan connector. Try to get your finger like supporting on the actual white connector. Don't just pull from the wire. You don't want to disconnect the cables from the socket. Alright, great. And the screw that was holding it in place on this side is already taken out with the heatsink sort of shroud, and then the other one is right here. We'll take that out. And you can just pop that right out of there, and this is surprisingly not that dusty. We were going to clean this later too, but that doesn't look too bad. Alright, it should be noted, if you do upgrade your CPU or remove the heatsink, you really want to replace the thermal paste. So if you don't have any on hand, I would recommend not doing this step, because every time you remove any kind of heatsink from a CPU or a GPU, that means fresh thermal paste. Clean the surface and fresh thermal paste, thermal grease, whatever you call it. Alright, 4 of these screws are done. You should really go about it in a more, I even don't remember what pattern I used, but then you can see still pretty moist actually on the actual inside, so that's not too bad. Yeah, don't know if you can see that, and I can't really zoom in right now. First time really doing a video in this setup. Go ahead and set it aside. Make sure to have the actual copper die section contact pointing up so you don't get your table or surface all messy. And then a standard smaller flathead screwdriver will do the trick here. Just poke it in there and follow the little lock icon. So in this case it's counterclockwise. And then you're just gonna pinch the sides and pull straight up. Look at that! PGA! Pins! Isn't that special? So you can clean it also at this step. For the sake of the video, we're just going to be cleaning the new CPU we put on, so save some time there. Great. Next, lots and lots of screws. We are going to actually start by derouting the Wi-Fi auxiliary cables. And you just follow this pattern. Alrighty, you just kind of toss that when you're done. Now we need to get some screws out of here. So this is where a magnetic project mat becomes crucial. You start with the battery cavity. It doesn't really matter, but these screws are going to be different. They're flatter, so they don't protrude and interfere with the battery, and they cover more surface area. So there's 3 of these guys, as well as another locking screw right here. Okay. Next, I'm going to take these 2 that were hiding underneath the optical drive. Yeah, sometimes you don't actually even have to take the optical drive out of some computers to get out, into it, but in this case, you certainly do. Alrighty. We'll just go around the perimeter. You will need to pop these rubber guys up. They are hiding screws underneath, and they are actually Torx screws. I forget which side in particular, but we're going to find out in a moment here. And these are not all the same little rubber pieces. They're all, I believe, different sizes. Maybe 1 or 2 are the same, but it looks like... Oh, maybe on this one, I'm thinking of the 6560B. On the 4540S, I think there's just 2 unique rubber pieces. Yeah, it looks like it. But... oh, cool. Yeah, they got a little smarter with that. Great. Alrighty, before we move to the Torx, let's get all of the miscellaneous out. So there should be... I guess there's just this keyboard securing screw here. Another keyboard securing screw. And yeah, alrighty. We can go ahead and take this moment to pop the keyboard out. You will need to actually get underneath it. There are at least 2 or 3 screws under there. So once you've gotten out those retaining screws, you'll notice you can actually just slide the whole keyboard down, so away from the speakers up top, and then pull it a little bit towards you. There might be some popping action going on. But don't just yank it off. There are ribbon cables underneath. So there's one long ribbon cable. So that would indicate... No, I think this is a backlit keyboard. So that's cool. They actually integrated the backlight into the ribbon cable, which is not very common. It's typically 2 separate cables. So just lift up this black flap here, and then just gently pop out the ribbon cable. Da, 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 da. Okay, set that aside. So where's our screws at? We have 1, 2. Why did I say 3? Of course, there's only 2. And they're both Torx. So we're done with the Phillips, it looks like. Let's get out our, I wouldn't even call it trusty, just obscure Mr. Torx. Is it Torx 6, it looks like? TR6? Yes. 1, 2. Okay, go ahead and flip it back. Next, we're just going to go around the perimeter. Each hole will hide a screw. I don't believe there's any below these rubber rests. Man, I feel like I've done this so many times. I don't know why I don't remember. But there's some pretty heavy adhesive. So let's just see if we can get it off. I don't think there's any under there. 1, 2. Three, and these are all the same size, so don't worry about putting them in different spots on your desk or workspace. You can just toss them into a big pile. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh my gosh. 9. 10. Another one over here by the hard drive. 11. I lost count there. Okay. That's probably them all. I feel like I always miss one. Well, we'll know if we try popping this up and we encounter some resistance. So go ahead, get your spudger for this next part. Typically it's easier to start by the optical drive. I don't know where I typically start on this guy. Maybe the bottom. So, I forgot to mention this. Go ahead and flip the tabs up on all of these guys. Oh, looks like just 2. And pull them out. Looks like speaker and trackpad. No, this assembly and the trackpad. And then this is the speaker. So carefully pull those red and white out of their socket. And now we will start working around. Okay, and then just, if you got all the tabs, lift it up. We're experiencing a little bit of tension. It looks like there's a ribbon cable attached by some adhesive. Oh no, just an attached ribbon cable. So let me see if I can show this to you. Right there. I would attach it from probably the palm rest. Okay, so just flip that latch. And are we in the clear yet? Yes. Okay. There it is. Cool. So a little bit of the computer is actually on here. Yeah, I knew that though. Set it aside. Okay. Now, why did we do this? We did this so we can upgrade the screen. So this cable right here is what they call a single channel cable. And it only supports resolutions up to, I think it's 766 by whatever that is, 720p, really, really basic laptop resolution for 15-inch laptops. So our goal here is to, we have to replace both this LVDS cable with what they call a dual channel cable that can support higher resolutions, as well as the screen. So we're probably should segue into the screen now. Oh, fun. So for this part, I typically use a razor. If you have anything else that's better, that's great. But you have to get under this little flap. Try not to use the sharp end and just pop it off right like that. I keep hitting it, I'm sorry. And set it aside, try to keep the sticky side up. Tiny little circle, and there's a screw. There's a screw if you can see it. Alright, and there's another one. We're making history! Not really. Alrighty. So, let's take out these two screws. What screen are we replacing with? We have a beautiful 1080p glossy IPS display. So, cream of the crop. Some people don't like glossy. I think it looks far superior if you can get it. And then go ahead and slide your spudger in the top there and just start working around once those two screws are out. We broke this guy here. That's not bad. My life as a technician, someone joked working next to me, and it's like you can only fix a laptop so many times. By the fifth time, all the little clips are broken. You gotta pitch a new bezel or bottom case. It's just ridiculous. Okay, so we need to take out all the screws because of this mechanism. We have the actual hinges that are attached to the top case, and then we have screws securing the screen from the sides. So let's go ahead and take this off. One, and I believe all these screws are the same too. Make sure you keep some kind of, I'm putting against the bottom half because once you take screws off, things might get a little unstable. Okay, so we got those 6 screws out of the way. Now what you can do is stop pulling the whole thing and then just kind of drop this bottom half. And as far as it goes, there's the Wi-Fi antenna cables holding it in place. Isn't that special? Not just the Wi-Fi antenna cables, we have the webcam at the top. Okay, so try to undo that. Just, can you focus, please? Get your finger in between the socket and the connector. Okay, and once that's out of the way, you're going to have a little more freedom. Do not drop it though, or else that could be fatal. You got some tape right here. It's also grounding for the electronics in this area. You're going to need to undo it, and if it ever wants to come up, that would be great. Okay. Next, we're gonna start. There's gonna be a little bit of adhesive along the way. Be nice to it. And then there is the actual connection to the screen. So I don't remember the specifications off the top of my head. The pin count, I believe it's a 40 pin, probably is. But remove this tape securing it down. Don't rip it off, you will need it. And then once it's pulled back like that, you can pull the whole connector down. Oh, there is a retention flap. So go ahead and pop that forward like that, this little guy, and then pull the whole thing down. Okay, it's out. Next, I don't want to take the Wi-Fi cables out, so this whole top piece, not a complete teardown. Yes, you got me. It's just gonna kind of sit like that. We're gonna try to just bring this forward. This step, if you didn't already, you can unplug this by just pulling up. This is your display connector. And put that under. And that should be free now. Okay. You don't need that anymore. Now let's get the screws on the side here. So there should be, there's one, I'm sorry you can't see jack anything. There is a screw here, here, here. 3 on each side, holy. And 1, 2, 3. So it doesn't matter where you stop, but make sure your hand is holding the screen. I'd probably go bottom to top. And go to the other side. And you're going to notice the screen is going to cut very loose, very fast. Oh, come on. Alright, now hold it. Okay, it is completely loose on the right side. Now the left side. I don't think this is the most ideal way to do it. This is a way I'm comfortable with, and it saves time. There's your screen. Set it aside, you no longer need it. Now, never bend from the top here. Always bend from the bottom. And these will be tricky to bend, so if you were smart, unlike me, you would have bent them before. Okay. You can bend them in either direction, doesn't really matter. Now we can actually start the upgrade process. Now we are going to put in the dual channel cable. And I'll have all these parts in the description, of course. This particular part has a very long part number, but I won't bore you with that. Okay, so we have to do three things. One, we need to obviously attach that to the motherboard. Two, we need to route this power and data all the way up to the microphone / webcam. And if there's any adhesive, no, there isn't. We'll just use whatever's left over. And then finally, this goes to our new screen. And they gave us some adhesive. Oh, nice. How very, very nice. So we'll start with the board. Go ahead and just press right down on it. Then you start routing it. Leave a little bit of slack. There's a little notch right here for it. And then it just kind of goes up through this gap here where the hinge is at. And now we need to do some routing. You can see there's a little path set for it right along here. If you need to pause the video and just study that, you can, but I think you can figure it out. You guys are smart kids, right? Alrighty. With that in place, so it only goes in one way, if I'm remembering correctly, and I think the pins should be facing outward. Does that sound right? And this is a flabby little cable. Maybe the pins should not be facing out. No, they should not. The pin should not be facing out. So ideally there should be adhesive here, but there is not. So that's where we plugged it in. Whatever. We'll put some adhesive down. I want to see how the screen lays out, though. Here is our screen. Okay. In this next step, you go ahead and line up the screen with the screw holes. And gosh, why am I so dumb? Oh, well, I don't think this is glossy at all. Oh well. Sucks to suck. Just make sure the pins are on the bottom there. And again, it would be better to lay it flat, but I'm not better. And this particular screen is actually from an Alienware, older Alienware laptop, so you know we're dealing with something kind of special here. And once you get those first two screws in, everything else gets easier. So do the top ones. You're still holding the screen. Do not let go of it. And then do the bottom. And in this case, there are two more side screws, so we will do those. I can't believe it's not a glossy screen. It's just matte. It looks so shiny in the picture. I thought it said glossy too. Oh well, heaps and bounds better than what we had. So now we can actually plug this in. But I would like to put some adhesive down for this. So I'm thinking just some electrical tape will do the trick. Well, okay. So I guess I'll put some. I don't know. Put one piece here. And I guess another piece here. Does that sound right? And again, don't worry so much about folding this. It's not a big deal. And then we need to attach the cable. So get your adhesive ready. Sorry, you can't really see this part. Okay. Then you can go ahead and button it back up. Okay, wow. Yeah, make sure your cables are all in the right place. They're not being pinched on anything. And go ahead and start putting some screws back in. Again, I like to do top to bottom. And on the bottom here, only put screws in where the arrows are going. Remember, we have to actually screw in the bezel again, so the rightmost hole, leave alone. I need a better camera situation, I know. Only 2 left. Screen is on, screen is attached. Does the screen work? I don't know. Typically, you should do these kind of upgrades one at a time and make sure everything is working first, but we're feeling a bit adventurous today, so That's that. I'm gonna leave the bezel off momentarily. And why are you throwing a fit? Okay, let's put the bezel back on. Try to line up the holes first. Okay, these guys are next. Be sure to get under the cables. Oh, my bad, I was putting it on backwards. So the retaining clip is actually underneath. And that'll just pop into place. That will just pop into place. Thank you. Thank you. Perfect. You didn't see anything. Same story over here. Longer sort of protruding piece goes on the top. And route the cable so it's not pinched or anything. I'm happy. That looks good. Alrighty. Typically you have to take everything out to get at the CPU or the RAM, but this model is just so nice you don't have to. So let's take a look. We have access to everything. We're done there. Let's put this top piece back on. Remember to start with this guy and attach it to this section right here, this little daughter board that houses sound output as well as, come on, multimedia card, SD card. Why am I saying multimedia? And with all these ribbon cables, yes, be careful with them, but those little black lines are your friends. So try to put, make sure the flap is up in the socket, and then when you put it in, the black line should be lining up with some kind of indicator on the motherboard. In this case, you just hide it completely. The line. There we go. Push it in and clip. And let's attach the speaker. Great. Alrighty. We got 2 little Torx screws to throw on. One over here, as noted. And one over here. Keyboard, where are you? Okay. Get the ribbon cable back in its home. Might be easier to go like this to get it in. I know for me it personally is. Let's see if I can do it like this. Oh no, this is pretty easy. I did just do another HP laptop. Very similar. It's an old ProBook, and night and day, much more vicious. And then once everything is pushed down, you should be able to slide it forward. I don't know why. It's there. Yeah, make sure up here it should be a seamless line, no gap. Back over, and we did not even need to deroute this. Sorry. So go ahead and route those Wi-Fi cables again. Next, let's pop in our new CPU. So, okay. So this is an i7-3720QM. Amazingly powerful card, and offers a lot for the price on the secondhand market. Typically this is the biggest bang for the buck. You can sometimes find a little higher for less. I never really understood it. If a laptop will support one, they mostly support them all. But whatever. So just pop it in the socket and snap it shut. And if you're unsure, it'll only go in one way, but there is a little triangle right here. If you've ever done anything with a desktop before, it's exactly the same. So this little triangle, please focus. Well, there's a triangle on the outer socket as well. So the triangles, they line up. If you don't want to focus fancy $100 webcam, that's not my problem. And the next thing to do would be to actually clean the CPU. And I have here alcohol swabs. Isopropyl alcohol is always the go-to. You want to make sure it's absolutely clean, but also free of any crap. So that'll dry, and I find that these stupid wipes that some guy over at an Apple service provider told me about, they still smear, so I'm going to go over with a paper towel and just make sure it's a nice glossy mirror finish. Great. That looks good. You want to see camera? Ooh, there it is, shiny. So I have some Thermaltake TG3 here. Because this is a pretty nice CPU and it's going to be kicking out a lot of power and heat, you want to put something decent down. This is what my local computer store carries. It's good stuff. So they always recommend about a rice-sized portion, a single grain in the middle of the CPU. And heat as well as pressure will do the rest of the work. So don't worry about spreading it or anything. Please let go. Okay, looks good. Do the same treatment for your heatsink here. Nice and clean. Oh, so shiny. Oh my gosh, go blind. And slide in the actual vent first, and then you can pop on the top. Try to line up the screws with first and drop it down. And this part, you want to tighten it like you're tightening a wheel on the car. And if you don't know, great time to learn. You start with one section, tighten it a little bit, and then go over to the other side, right across from it. And then from there, I don't really know the madness since there's only two choices left, but, and then, yeah, work like that. You know, equal dispersed pressure until it's all the way down, and until you can't screw anymore. Great. Next, we'll just throw the fan in. What the heck? Not upside down? Alrighty. So that's there. We have one screw for that, which is here. And we'll plug it in. And if you didn't know, the only things a computer needs to turn on is a CPU, a stick of RAM, which we didn't put in yet, and, well, you know, the motherboard, of course, some kind of video output. And it doesn't actually need that to turn on. Wow, I was thinking of something. Why can't I think of it now? RAM and CPU and motherboard is all you really need, and then some way to display a picture. Okay, that was easier said there. So our shiny new CPU is in there. How about an SSD? SSDs are cheap now. Geek Squad refurbished. Yes, this is the 860 Evo. Yes, we have it. 500 gigabytes. And I picked this up with an eBay discount. Geek Squad refurbished from Best Buy. it was like $55. So we're talking 10 cents a gigabyte for an amazing, amazing SSD. So let's get this back to the Cozy Caddy, which with SSDs you really don't need a caddy, but let's not just throw it in there. Oh, here it's done. And do make sure it's the right way. So if you put it in upside down, your pins are going to be over here, blocked. So, and just wrap it around and slide these guys back in there. Alrighty. Again, don't need screws, but let's put screws. Yes, let's put screws. Okay, plop it down with the shorter pin actually on that side closest to you, and the flap, of course, to pull it out sticking up. You might have to get it in on a slight angle, and then just pull it in. Okay, and we'll put some screws later. Yes, we will put them. For our Wi-Fi card, this is the Intel Dual Band Wireless N7260. Amazing, amazing card, and I've been picking these up for like $10. I mean, this, you can, in theory, quadruple your current Wi-Fi speeds if you were running something like this other card, which I think was like 150 megabytes per second. And I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous. But the nice thing, so this is, I think, 867 megabytes per second. Just insane. $10. Do yourself a favor, people. Why do my hands look so dirty on camera? They're not dirty, by the way. 2 screws, and we're in business. I don't know if you can actually trust the numbers that are on this card since it wasn't made for these cables. There are actual numbers on the cables as well. We will try, and we'll see what happens. The worst that can happen is Wi-Fi doesn't really do anything in terms of a signal, and we'll just have to switch them. Okay? Okay. Don't worry. It's okay to make mistakes. It would be nice if the guy making the video didn't make them, but believe it or not, I am human. Okay, great. And it's okay if they're sticking out a little bit, protruding. They'll get flattened down by the bottom case. All right, so we can go ahead and, slide the optical drive back in. And we're going to hole up on any screws, make sure the thing works. Any more than we've already put down, geez. And it should be noted, there is a trick with getting 16 gigabytes of RAM to work. 16 gigabytes. You can only put in at most 8 at a time, and then you have to do a little tweaking, and we'll show that next. Alright, since we did change the CPU, where is it? Oh gosh. We can still get at it. We can still get at it. We do need to actually reset the BIOS by removing the battery. So we need to Get back under there. Sorry about that. Dang. It's not recommended, but it's also not crucial, so I'm moving forward. I really do not want to deal with that keyboard again. Alright, it should also be noted that any HP 4540Ss that have either discrete graphics not present or a quad-core CPU should actually be running a 90-watt HP power AC adapter. And this one is only 65 watts, and you can find that. Typically it's in bold, but if not, this one says it right there. Wow, you can't focus for crap, can you? But it will do the trick. Don't use it long term though. So let's see if we get some power. Moment of truth. Hey, hey, hey! Ooh, we are looking good. Those whites. I mean, we're just looking at really basic crap here, but that looks absolutely beautiful. I can already tell what the screen is going to look like, and I'm excited. So, there's going to be obviously some more skipping in the video here. We do need to install Windows. But what's great about Windows 10 is if you are running Windows 7, 8, or 8.1, Pro or Home or Starter, anything, you can upgrade to Windows 10 and your respective version for free. And it's a really awesome trick. A lot of people still think you can't do anymore, but it requires an empty hard drive. Okay, it has to be wiped, and you install Windows 10 from a USB drive from scratch. Okay, and if you do that in the custom install step, you just say I don't have a product key, and if you install the right version, say Windows 7 Home should go to Windows 10 Home, Windows 8.1 Pro should go to Windows 10 Pro. It will activate automatically as soon as you connect to the internet, and that is freaking awesome. So we're doing that now. Voila. At this point, I'm going to be doing the trick to allow for 16 gigabytes of RAM on this model. I'm not actually going to show it in the video, one, because I don't want to get a second camera out, but two, I would mostly be taking credit for someone else's work. There's several good videos on YouTube, and I will link in the description the one that taught me. But if you can just do it by ear, I will narrate as I'm going. So you're going to open up msconfig, system configuration, and you should go down to advanced, or boot, then advanced. Okay, it's a display driver. And the maximum memory we want to actually set to, what is it? I don't know what 16 gigabytes is in megabytes. And no, it's not 16,000. Don't give me that crap. $16,384. Apply. Okay. and we will need to restart to do that. Okay, what is still installing? Nothing. I'm sure there's still updates. Okay, great. Now we can put the last 2 gigabytes of RAM in. And well, once we verify functionality, we can start put some screws in here. Will it blend? That is the question. Yay! Oh wait, no, this is not guaranteed. 1 second. Looking good. Yep. Awesome. I'm going to switch to the other camera here just so we can show the end result. So we're at the desktop here, and you can see this beautiful new screen behind us. We're going to go and check out our new specs. And there it is, 1920 by 1080p, recommended. Our storage, we have 500 gigabytes of our SSD, awesome. And, wow, what is all this crap? About? Oh, look at that. A quad-core i7-3720QM CPU at 2.6 gigahertz and 16 gigabytes of RAM, which is all usable. And Windows 10 Pro, and it doesn't say unactivated. And for the skeptics, if there's even any of you, activation, it's activated, and I didn't type in a key. Cool, so that's that. Now let's finish up with our screws, why don't we? Shut down. Alright, I got to get back to the picture. I'll put those guys in first. I keep doing that, sorry. Next, lower retainer screw, security screw, I'm going to call it. And, we can put in our 2 keyboard screws, release to them. Take this drive out again, so you can put screws back underneath. And then you can put the screw into the disk drive. We'll go ahead and put our hard drive screws back in. And, yeah, let's go ahead and put some more screws in. This can go first. So you're going to put it in like this with the tabs, then drop it, then slide it, then slide it. Slide it, I said. Why is it? Oh. Yeah, make sure you're not pinching any cables. And these are the last non-torque screws here. And keyboard tension cable. Now, torque screws. And we actually still have 2 display screws. Did we have them? Seems like it's always happening. I have one more torque screw here, then I have holes. I'm sure it's not a game changer, crucial by any means. Maybe it's under here. I don't know how it always happens. I don't see anywhere I could miss. Okay. And then we can pop these guys back in here. The longer ones are actually going to go in the back next to the battery, and they only go in one way because they have yeah, you could see it for a second there, sort of like a little outline nub. And these don't even use adhesive on the bottom because they're so snug in there. Kind of cool. That's that. Flip it, and we got 2 screws left. And actually, that's not fully down on either side. We're done. Oh wait, finishing touch. Okay. Now, if it turns on, we are done. Yes, it does need to turn on though. Looks good to me. Yeah, so these machines, they are incredible powerhouses. And I would always recommend them for someone who doesn't need the newest machine but still wants power. And if you can pick one up with a discrete AMD graphics chip, you can do some serious not serious, but you can do some light gaming on here as well. These are great for Hackintoshes. These are very popular actually, and you can run macOS pretty seamlessly on here. So if you have any questions, please leave a comment. I offer services as well if you're interested, and all parts and miscellaneous tributes to people who've helped me are in the description. Thanks, and until next time.